Hey, this is Matthew Harvey here with the 12 o'clock siren recording live at Hank's Texas Grill, not the 903 Broadband Studios in McKinney, Texas. On my left hand is James, Jet Set and Hartley.
That's right.
Where you been?
I've been all over, man. Czech Republic, Colorado, Florida,
Man,
the hill country.
traveling boy.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I'm kind of ready for the kids to get back in school.
Yeah.
Tired. Need a nap.
Welcome back
Appreciate
to
it.
North Texas.
Yeah, man.
It's hot as it's ever been out there.
Yeah, miss Colorado.
I bet, yeah. Nice, cool, crisp evening.
Yeah,
Well, we got a good one today.
we do. We're excited about this one.
For any of you that were out at the Leonard Picnic a couple weeks ago, the 144th annual on Saturday, you might recognize our next guest. He was the headliner, Mr. Josh Ward.
How y'all doing?
Studio audience loves you.
Terrific. Good to see you.
Good to see y'all.
Well, thanks first and foremost for being a part of and headlining a record-setting Leonard Picnic. You probably aren't familiar with the event before then, were you?
No, I be honest with you, I never. We'd been through Leonard
Sure.
a bunch. I mean, heck, we fished. I fished all up that way. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I didn't know about the actual picnic, and man, what a treat that was. I mean, I'm gonna go and say it right now. We play a lot of dates.
Sure.
We play all over the country. And this isn't throwing dirt on anybody, but I think them folks that are out there should start taking notes from you guys
Oh, yeah?
as far as your hospitality goes, because that is the best that me and my crew have ever been treated by the whole staff. From grandma, meemaw cooking,
Oh, yeah.
all the wives, the daughters.
Yep.
I mean, it was a family function. It was family driven, and y'all guys executed that.
Well, that means a lot. We appreciate that.
So
That would be, I know Donna Rushing was over there in the hospitality suite,
Yes.
making sure you guys were well fed,
Yes.
cold drinks, and staying cool.
I mean, right down to the, one of the young ladies in there, she took it upon herself to something that we hadn't seen in a while, but there was a blackboard in the hospitality room, and she took it upon herself to say welcome, to myself and Braxton Keith that night. Took it upon herself to actually hand draw out our brands on that.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
That's cool.
when you show up to a hospitality room and people have went out of their way to make you feel welcome, those are the ones you want to come back and see.
Sure.
Those are the ones that it hits home, and it hits home right about the time that you really need that home cooked meal.
That's good to hear.
That reminds you of home, and they're just sweethearts. So I did want to get that on the board as soon as possible.
Well, I know a lot of people that are really going to appreciate those kind words from you.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're aware, but that's a Chamber of Commerce event. The Leonard Chamber of Commerce puts that on. It's all volunteers and sponsors that fund that thing. It's all obviously a free show. Come out and be a part of it. Have a good time, carnival and all that sort of stuff. Craft fair, car show. So we try to have a good time on a budget as well. A lot of free, entertainment for the local folks. And just in the past 3 years or so, we've really kind of ramped it up. This is the first year we had that stage 2 nights in a row. So that was pretty exciting to grow it and then bring on more artists like yourself.
Nice.
And try to legitimize it as a good area. Homegrown, like you said, it's still got that homegrown feel.
It does.
But try to bring it up and get more folks from the surrounding areas.
Was it the 141st?
144?
144.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, so we interviewed on this show a guy who's 100 years old this past February, and he had been going to him since, he said, covered wagons.
Yeah.
Like he showed up at one a long time ago in a covered wagon. So
Of course, he stopped driving his covered wagon like 5 years ago.
yeah,
too,
he
so.
just retired his covered wagon. But yeah, it's definitely a small town thing, but we're trying to legitimize it and make it a marquee event for the area. So
I have a question for you about. So I'm guessing you play things like that, right? I mean, that's not the only type of small town fair you've played.
No, that's. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, my demographic
Fits that mold.
Fits that mold.
Yeah.
The fairs and rodeos, fairs and festivals and stuff like that. I mean, I think we fit that bill.
Well, so that's kind of what leads into my question. Matthew and I are always talking about, you grow up in a small town and you want to go to, hey, let's go to Vegas for the weekend or let's go check out New York. And then as we've gotten older, we've talked about doing like a travel show. But I would like to go see places that are kind of off the beaten path and just experience the culture. And I guess as a traveling musician, you get to experience that right? You play your Vegases, you play your big cities, but you get to come to towns like Leonard and see that small town and what that culture of
Idaho, North Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, those you see it all parts of in between. We've seen the bright lights and we've seen a cornfield in Iowa.
Oh yeah, see, that's cool.
And it's so awesome because what a blessing that we have. We get to travel around the country and see these things. And we get to play music for a living.
Right.
I mean, I think that's really a blessing to be able to do that for a living.
Absolutely.
But yes, we have seen it all, and it's kind of one of those things. Like we'll be on the road, and Vegas is probably going to be about 2 weeks worth this year, and we love it when we're out there because we're getting to visit all my old rodeo buddies, and then we're playing shows and we're making appearances with sponsors and all that stuff. I mean, as far as our boot company and all that, and you go from bang 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 bang, and you still get to slip back down to
to where it feels like home.
To where it feels like home, and we find those, even though it's not our home. Back down here in Texas, but those little small
Same
towns
folks.
Feels familiar.
Same folks, a familiar feeling. So it's really neat.
Right on.
But we cover a lot of ground.
Is there anything that stands out, like in you were mentioning some of the stuff about the Leonard Picnic? Is there anything that stands out in any part of the country where you had an unexpected, like, man, that was a good time, like any particular anything, or maybe even a particular bad time. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
well, I know you guys got to the picnic with no AC on the bus. Is that what I understand?
It's
that could have been one of the bad times right there in 105 degrees.
So I love that bus. We don't talk about that bus.
Okay. Yeah.
We always knock on wood when we talk about the bus, but that day was one of those days.
Yeah.
Especially when you're the guy, you're the head cook, the dishwasher, and everything else. So you're the mechanic as well. Right? It happens. It happens a lot. It happens. I mean, and I'm not just speaking for me. I'm speaking about every artist that's out there on the road. I mean, you have those breakdowns. You have those days.
Sure.
And you know what? You got to pay the price sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the road will beat you up like that, even though even though it's like that's not an intentional thing that happened. It just happened, and you've got to learn to take that moment right there and go, all right, I can't fix what it is. I can try to help fix it, which we did about 8 hours worth.
Yep.
But you surround yourself with people. This goes back to my crew. You surround yourself with people like that would eat, sleep, breathe, and die for you.
Sure.
And that means dying in a tour bus at 89 degrees when we pulled up because the AC didn't work.
On I-45.
On I-45, right? But, yes, those things happen a lot.
if I'm not mistaken, Leonard boy Clint Hinesley helped you get up and running, and I think you guys got out of there with some coolness, right?
Yes.
Good.
Clint got us back up and running, and here's the deal about stand-up guys like that. He said, I ain't going to leave it until it's done.
Wow, that's good.
And I went, all right, well,
I'm going to go over here.
Send me a bill.
And it was coincidental, too. I think he was working in Fort Worth and got a call to Leonard
Yes.
and he's from Leonard.
He's like, yeah, I'll
obviously.
take that.
He's like, yeah, I'll go there. But then they had another guy run up a part or something from like South Dallas. It was an ordeal. But,
But he and I still got to go back and see Brother Clint. I told him, I said, as soon as we get back out of state, I'm coming back and we're fixing this thing the right way.
well, he's kinfolk with Miss Rushing.
Yep.
So you may or may not have known that, but that's where it comes from.
Well, it goes back to that good just down home feel.
Yeah.
When he showed up, she's like, "Hey, baby, what are you doing?"
You're like, okay, I'm in good hands.
And I looked, and I was like, and everybody starts talking. Everybody knew everybody, right? And I was like, this is gonna be okay. Today is gonna be okay. These are my folks.
We got it from here.
Well, so we talked about how you're blessed and you get to go to these small towns, the big cities, and all that. How did you get into it? So where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Splendor, Texas.
Okay, that's Southeast Texas.
That's Southeast Texas. That's probably about where the crow flies, maybe 40. Probably 30-something miles north of Houston.
Oh, okay.
Straight up 59.
Oh, okay,
and,
gotcha.
It's been a while since I've been back. I think I've been through it, but I hadn't been back in a while. But
is that where you graduated high school?
Graduated high school from there.
What was your high school?
You mentioned
life
rodeo and your younger years. You've been doing this 20 years or so?
Yeah, just about.
So what was your job before that? Like before you said, "All right, I'm doing this for a living." Like I'm committing.
I was in the oil field for a very, very long time, and man, I did when the oil field kind of did what it did, and I got out. There was times that I was doing anything I could, from structural steel, hanging steel, to mowing with a bat wing. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
my main thing was the oil field, and before then I rodeoed a bunch in high school.
Cool.
So,
What did you do in the rodeo?
rode bareback horses.
Oh, okay.
Right on.
Yeah, and had some fun doing that. I mean, all I did in life, I just picked a different horse to ride.
Yeah.
So,
The window's small in life for doing that, so
It
might as well
is.
get it in
Yeah,
while you can.
bronc riding's a young man's game.
it is, and you know, the sport of rodeo and country music fall hand in hand. So,
Sure.
I started playing back then. You know, my rodeo partners was my first audience,
Yeah,
and
sure.
they told me I sucked a whole lot.
Well, that's when you know
They were
love
good
you.
friends then.
They were good friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I started playing with them, and it was like oil field rodeo, try to rodeo a little bit more, go back to the oil field. And then it was like I picked up that guitar in high school, and it just kept coming back. You
Sure.
know, it didn't matter. Like even in 2011, whenever I decided to take a break, you know, I wanted to reevaluate what I was doing in music.
Sure.
I quit an oil field job to pursue a music career.
Right.
That's a huge jump.
That is, especially getting started in music.
Guaranteed solid income for God knows what's going to happen tomorrow night.
Yes.
But you do say it goes hand in hand. I mean, you know, obviously my mind goes to Chris Ledoux, right? And then I mean, Cody Johnson was rodeoer, right?
Yep.
Yep. Do you know Cody?
You guys buds, right?
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Cody
Yeah.
really well. Yeah, he's got a heck of a career going for him
Yeah,
right now.
sure.
We're all proud of him. But yeah, I mean, I bounced from rodeo into oil field, and then once I got to that jump of this is what I'm gonna go do, I quit that job and started. You know, I raised 2 kids and a wife
Right.
on a musician's income. That's not easy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I bet not, especially in those lean years. You know.
Wow.
Do I understand one of your boys or your son anyway is kind of following in your footsteps?
Yeah, Jace, he just turned 17 last month. He rodeos a
Cool.
bunch.
Is he bronc ride too? Or?
No, he team ropes.
Smart guy.
Smart.
Well,
You raised him right.
he always told me, he said, you know, Dad, I want to go ride bucking horses. I said, well, when you get grown up enough to where your bones are fusing together, and we'll try to get on a few.
Right.
And about time he turned 16, he said, hey, you told me let's go get on a few.
Yeah.
And at that time, he had already started team roping, and I told him, I said, son, I'm going to tell you just like this. you don't ever have to do anything because I did.
Right.
I beat my body up doing that.
Learn from me.
In the field and in the rodeo arena, I beat my body up. And I told him, I said, I want to see you live a healthy life.
Yeah.
Now, any sport of rodeo is going to take its toll on you. But you can set this horse. I'm envious of how you ride a horse.
Sure.
And you got a beautiful swing, and you're talented with it. Why do you want to go do this? And he goes, you know what? You're right. Now, can he ride the hair off one? Yes, he can. I've seen him do it. But I'm wanting him to take his health serious and stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, that was my big thing whenever I was riding. I'd get hurt, and I'd just go tough through it because that's what we did. Back then, I mean, we didn't have the trainers and the
science.
And the science and all that stuff behind it. It was wrap it up with an ace bandage, or, you know, you better put some horse liniment on it or something and carry on. But these days, I mean, the younger athletes that are coming along are just, they're bred into this.
Yeah.
So
Team roping's got a bigger window.
Yeah, it's like being a kicker, man.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, no, I never rodeoed. I played around with it. You know, I had aspirations as a young kid because I grew up watching like Tough Hatterman and you know, so I wanted to be a bull rider. I'm not exactly built like one, nor do I have the talent or the aptitude. So getting thrown a few times, I was like, yeah, maybe this isn't the sport for me.
Yeah.
So I picked up the guitar too, and I also lacked talent there. So I'm still searching. But you know, hey, we'll all find it eventually.
Well, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't trade none of it for the world.
I bet not.
Anything, any step in life that I've taken up to this point, I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah.
Because, for one, it builds you into the man that you are today. Number two, man, I had a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I did. I mean, I run up and down the road with some of my best friends in the world. Got to see the country. And it just spilled over into the music side of things.
Which you got to run up and down the road with some of your best friends.
It probably also gets you prepared for the road with the, you know, doing venues and the payment scale. You know, it's a different way of getting paid. You know,
I mean,
rodeoing and doing music. You're betting on that next night, like I said earlier.
That's it. You're betting on the next night, especially in the early days, and even sometimes now.
Yeah, sure.
You know, we go out of state, we're still betting on that good night.
Sure.
You know, that luck of the draw deal. But man, what a fun time it's been. I mean, I can say that I've never unpacked a bag.
Yeah.
My wife jokes about it.
Yeah.
When she and I met, I showed up with a duffel bag.
Been working out of it ever since.
And that duffel bag lived right there by that bedroom door.
Yep.
And still to this day, my suitcase does not get put in the closet.
Yeah.
It gets rolled in, opened up, washed, repacked, and it sits by the door.
Right.
So that's gone on for, I mean, all my life. I've lived out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah, when you retire, you're probably not going to know what to do with yourself. You're going to have like
stay
wanderlust or whatever.
Put.
Yeah.
Throw away a suitcase.
You know, it's probably going to be pretty hard for me to sit still. Yeah. So I'm an avid outdoorsman. I love to bow hunt. I love to fish. So when this is all done, which is, I hope we still have quite a few years ahead of us, but yeah, I'll probably have to be in the woods or on the water somewhere, or riding a horse somewhere. I don't know.
What you bow hunt? Have you ever gotten to take an elk with a bow?
This year, matter of fact, here in a couple of weeks, we're headed up to Washington and all that. And my last show of the week's run, we end in Redmond, Oregon.
Nice.
So I've teamed up with Hex over the past couple of years. And I'm going with Mike, the owner of Hex, going to his elk lease, which is right about an hour south of there, and we're gonna go. He's gonna let me shoot a cow up there because that's kind of the way you get your feet wet.
Yeah,
go up there, you shoot a cow. Not that I wouldn't shoot a bull. It's just you got to put in for the draw for the bulls and stuff like that. So this will be. This will be different for me. I mean, I've helped guide on some things, and I've been in that world, but to actually be on the trigger end of it is something else.
Oh, sure.
But I think this would be my like 6th or 7th large game.
Okay.
Went to Africa and shot all my stuff over there with a bow, but first big animal here in the States.
I have aspirations. I haven't put the reps in yet. It's something you got to put reps in, you know. So I've got my bow. I got to set up, but I just haven't started really putting the reps in. So I hope to do that soon too.
Well, I can tell you right now that if you practice at 40, if you practice at 40, you're going to be comfortable.
Right.
Okay. The 60-yard shots
start to pucker a little there.
Those get out there. The only saving grace that you have, and I always say aim small, miss small, but you do have a bigger surface area.
Sure.
That's the only green light that you can have, and you better be right when you get out to 60. But a lot of those cows, they come in as hell closer than 20 yards. So
that's what I'm gonna hope for
one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's gonna be an experience. We go back this year as well. Taking my boy to Africa.
Oh, cool.
For his soon. This will be next year. I'm sorry, not this year. Next year, 18th birthday. Hunting buddy of mine, his son turns 18 as well. So we're gonna take him over with us and let him stick a few with their bows.
That's cool. Where do y'all go in Africa?
We're just south of the Botswana border.
Okay.
Still southern Africa, but we go with the Vula Safari, and man, they're great. They're a great bunch.
That's cool.
I went over there for the first time last year, and I was like, I didn't know what to expect.
Sure.
You can only see what you see on TV, right?
Right.
And it is like that. You don't want to hang around in Joburg for long.
Yeah, especially right now.
Especially right now, yeah. But we've got a good travel team, and as soon as we get there, we're basically, we get off the plane and we get scooped.
Sure.
And they got you some beers waiting out there on the pickup trucks, and they load your gear. And
what's the beer brand in South Africa?
I think that's I'd have to look, but I think it's Smith. I've got a picture of it.
It's probably just some English beer.
Could you imagine showing up? It's like Zima's.
Right. I'd be mad. I'd get some Jolly Ranchers.
I will find this picture. Yes, we'll continue. But well, as soon as you said it, I was like, man, I know the name of that beer.
Putting you on the spot.
But yeah, we drove from Johannesburg to the lodge. That was about 4.5 hours after a 16-hour flight.
Yeah, you were ready to get to a bed, I bet.
I didn't sleep. I never went to sleep that first day. And we got there, and sun started cracking, and I was like, nah, I went ahead and put my gear on and
ready to go.
And started screwing broadheads in. And,
well, that's cool.
It was fun because you get in the top drive and you're riding out there and you're like, man, are we in South Texas?
Is that what it looks like? Yeah.
I promise you, it looks like you're going down the road on the King Ranch.
Really? Wow.
And about the only thing when you dump out at the stand, you're looking around and you're like, okay, we're foreign.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know what that tree is.
We're kind of somewhere on the food chain right now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
somewhere in the middle.
It was definitely fun. Can't wait to go back. Oh, hang on. I think I got it.
Heineken.
Keystone.
No, it's called something light. I mean, it looks like an oil can.
Oh, it does, yeah.
It
looks like a Molson product.
Yeah, like an English beer or something like that.
Well, in all honesty, it's probably Dutch or French or English.
So colonized them.
I think it's Dutch because the
Afrikaner language.
Afrikaan is from the Dutch
Right.
dialect, I
Right.
guess. Which
Flemish is, I think, part of it, or has an influence. Belgian, Dutch.
Yes. But that's a trip. I mean, if somebody can go, I would say go do it. You know,
I'd like to do it.
Whether you're in the mountains, I mean, there's different parts of Africa, and it's like you're on a totally different planet.
Yeah.
But just to the people, our people that at the ranch, it was. I thought that we had good etiquette over here.
Yeah.
And it was, yes, sir. How are you doing today? Not because they're employees. It was the people that they were.
Just how they're wired.
That's how they're wired. They spoke to each other that way. Not just because we were clients. But, yeah, I came home and it really changed my way of thinking. I mean, I was thinking Africa was going to be a one-trip deal and I'd never go back.
Right.
Well, now it lit a fire.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go see the next thing. I experienced so much in that little bit of time frame that it was like I have to come back.
That's cool.
And what they tell you, they can call it the Dark Lady, the Dark Continent, whatever. There's a saying: she will always draw you back.
Yeah,
and it's true.
Cool. Cool.
That's what Rudyard Kipling says. Yeah, I had a chance to go early 2021. I was going to go to 3 different countries, and then COVID happened and shut it down. So I missed an opportunity, but hopefully I'll get to go back or get to go.
Yeah, that messed up a lot of stuff over there for them, man.
Jeez.
I mean, there were PH friends of ours, professional hunters that they were having to sell their trucks, their guns, because the money wasn't coming into the country. So
gotta eat.
You gotta eat, and yeah, it's unfortunate that happens over there like that.
So it's let's say it's the mid 2000s, and Hard Whiskey's the first full length album you did.
Yes.
Yes. So at that time, I'm sure it's safe to say you're doing the honky tonk circuit. And,
oh yeah.
And what was the
the lean years?
Ben doing it already.
Yeah. But what was the venue that when you hit that venue, you're like, all right, here we go. Like this is it. You know, this just we just got it.
We had a couple of moments earlier on. Heck, Brandon Ryder was going strong then.
Okay.
Brandon Ryder, he's East Texas boy, you know.
Yeah. Longview, right? Or Tyler or something?
Longview, I believe. And we had a couple of opportunities. We were under the same management company and had some times to open up for him. I mean, we opened up for him in Gillies there in Dallas back when it was a big room, you know. Yep. Got to play those and, you know, some of those pro rodeos that we got to do earlier on, I was like, man, we done hit the big time. I mean, we're playing to the rodeo audience.
Sure.
But
it's a lot of people though, too.
In our mind,
target rich
environment, but in my mind, those people are there to see me.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know?
Right.
So we had a couple of those, you know, and even following up back into when we were, you know, on the flight, you know, 10 years ago, you know, that gradual gain. I mean, we got to open up for guys like Mark Chestnut and the Tracy Birds of the world, Daryl Singletaries, and got to get in front of. And for me to play with guys that I cut my teeth on.
Sure, yeah.
Especially the Beaumont boys. Being I'm from down in that southern region, those guys were. That was George Strait. You know, I mean, we had George Strait, but those were the boys that were the Beaumont boys, is what they called themselves. And man, to open up for those guys, I mean, those were feathers in my cap because that means something to me. And then later on, you know, we go to work with Cody Johnson. You know, we go on tours with him out to California. Another big feather in the hat. You know. And even now, I mean, we're headlining our own shows, but we still get to, if we get that opportunity to jump at working with any of these other artists, whether it be Cody or Cody Johnson, Jinx, any of them. I mean, Casey. I mean, we always try to jump at it.
Who's somebody that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with? That maybe is a professional goal.
I'm going to rephrase that because I've got a question from Allison Blevins that you would have met out there.
Mm-hmm.
Your number one fan. She wanted to know what your dream collab is, dream artist collaboration for one song.
It's like Post Malone or something.
Right.
Man.
Hey, you can think on that. I got a follow up question too that kind of goes with that. You got to have made buds with some of the Texas country or country guys on the road.
Uh-huh.
Kind of leading into the fishing hunting thing. Who are some of the artists out there that you've really kind of buddied up with, or you might go fishing with, or on a hunting trip?
Oh shoot, man! There's a handful of them for sure. Jake Worthington,
Okay.
good buddy of mine. He's the guy that, hey, let's go ride a song. Cool. We go to the ranch and we go look at big deer and we go fish. Then we go ride a song. That's one of those guys. We all kind of run in the small circle of things, but man, there's a handful of them I'd like to go with. We're supposed to be going to somewhere up there like Wills Point soon to
not too far
to go shoot a deer up there with Co Wetzel and Dre, and
he's big into it as well, right?
Oh yeah,
and he's an East Texas boy too.
Yeah.
Is he Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Saw him at the Rose Festival last year with Nelly.
Yeah.
It was an interesting evening. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's going to be a handful of us. I think Josh Abbott and Casey Donahue's going to be up there, and it's like-minded people.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that are into this industry. We're outdoorsmen.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the thing that that's about the only time that we get to meet up. If we're on the road together, we're playing together. Other than that, we don't get to go hang out. So
Schedule a hunt.
Yeah, to schedule one to go get to hang out and be normal. Just be us, shoot the bull, and all that.
Not sing. You don't sing for each other.
We try not.
Put that
to.
on the back burner.
I bet some of that goes. So you said like your buddy Jake and y'all go write a song. What is your creative process, or do you have one? Do you ever sit down and you're intentional about it, or does it are you kind of just constantly thinking ideas? How does that look for you?
Jake told me one time, and I don't see it, but he told me, he said, "Man, we just need to go ride around together."
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Dude, I've done wrote like 6 ideas down right now."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, cool. If you use one of them, let me know what it is. But I'm not that writer.
Right.
I am. I write songs, but there have been very few that they have just come to me.
Sure.
And I sit down there on that couch right there and write this awesome song. Very few.
So it's a labor of love usually. Huh?
It is. And I tell everybody, every night I've got to surround myself with some of the greatest writers that I've ever sat down with. And Wyatt McCubbin, Jason Hershey, Roger Springer, Terry McBride, Bryce Long. Those guys, Sam Banks. Jacob Boyd. These guys are writers.
Sure.
They have art. They have a craft that they have perfected. And some of them just have it.
Yeah.
And I've put myself in those places to where I have an idea of a song. Say I wanted to write, say Together, right? If I have this title in my head, I can take it to any one of those guys and I can tell them the way that I was feeling whenever that came over me, where I was at, and all of a sudden we're off to the races because they understand me.
That's so impressive, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Ronnie Vines, Russell Sutton, Gary Cantrell was in the room when we wrote this one. It was Together. And literally Ronnie Vines looked at me and he said, "Y'all boys going to have to forgive me. I left my laptop back in Alabama." And Ronnie's like, he's an older gentleman. So he's like writing with your grandpa,
Right.
And he said, so I figured I'd just write it on his notebook. He put that yellow legal pad out in front of him. I was like, all right. And he said, son, you had a hell of a year. I said, yes, sir. We're blessed. We've been very fortunate. And he said, I ain't talking about the good. And I said, well, that ain't me. I ain't never been one to, air everything out.
Sure.
He said, all right. And he sat back and took that page and flipped it over, put it back on the table. And without a second's beat, he said, how'd you get through it? And it came out of me. He pulled whatever that was, that string, that made me go, well, here it is.
Right.
And whenever I told him what I told him about, how'd you get, the next thing that he asked me, he's like, how'd you get through it? And I said, well, it was her. She was the one that stood me up every time that I fell down. And I said, I guess in a way she was holding me together. And he looked across the table at me and said,
There it is.
I don't know why you're trying to write a song. There it is. And 15 minutes later, Together was written.
That's crazy, man.
So
That's a real song then.
that's
Real as it gets.
as real and as raw as it gets, because that song was never supposed to be written.
Sure. Yeah.
That song was never supposed to be heard because I didn't want anybody to hear it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
The vulnerability of a song.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
It's me expressing my. It's almost kind of like hanging yourself out there. I wonder what people are going to think. They see old Josh Ward as, rough, tough cowboy and, don't let anything get to him. But you start talking about your wife and your kids,
Oh, sure.
it gets to you.
Yeah.
So it pulled something out of me that I don't think that I was ready to share with the world, but I understood it once we were done.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty cathartic too. I mean,
Great story.
Yeah, that is. That's that's almost like magic how somebody can do that for you.
Yeah, yeah. But and I've since then I've learned to, whenever you get that feeling, that whole man, I don't know. That's the one that you need to turn loose. That's the one that you need to show the world, even though you don't think in your heart you should show somebody that side of you. Be able to do it and be able to perform it and execute it every night without digging inside of your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Being able to make it through a song you wrote about your wife. Being able to make it through a song like a new song that's going to be on this record this year that I wrote about Jace. It's called Walking in My Boots. Bro, I can't hardly get through that song without bawling up. If you're a daddy,
oh yeah,
you have sons, it's going to rock you to your core, because it's taken everything that here's a line. It says, it scares me to death because where he's headed to is where I've already been. Right? It scares you to death to watch them grow up. Know if they're going to make those decisions. Know if they're going to burn that bridge or not. Knowing they're going to get thrown off and they're going to do it again and again and again. But he's walking in my boots, doing what I do, acting like I did, talking like I talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's that song that's just, it just pulls on me.
Oh, sure.
And here I am in the next couple of months fixing to get on that stage out there as soon as we release it, and I'm going to play it to the masses.
Yeah.
Something they've never heard, and here's me.
That's your vulnerability.
Right.
That's your vulnerability.
And something that means so much to you, too.
Yes.
Well, it's cool you say that. The night before you played the picnic, Matt Hillier of 1100 Springs was playing the Friday night, and the the girl in the front row, her and her parents were sitting there with her husband, if I'm not mistaken. But she said, "Hey, play this song." Well, the song was their daddy-daughter dance at her wedding, and it was Matt's song to his daughter. So he goes, "Holy crap! I didn't expect it." Anybody.
Wow.
And he took about 2 songs to think about it and get ready for it.
You have to process it.
He goes,
man.
"Y'all might see me bawling my eyes off the stage up here, but here it goes." He did a really good job.
Yeah.
But it's a very similar, cool story like that. That's pretty awesome.
That's an awesome story.
So you're a legit cowboy, rodeo and this and that. You like riding horses? You got an operation or anything on the ranch, or you just kind of?
Man, I'm a very, very small fish in a huge pond. We do have some lease stuff. I help some friends run their stuff, their cows, and it's one of those things. I know that with my workload on the road right now, there's nothing more that I'd much rather have. 180 acres, 200 something acres, and we're running mama cows on and riding horses and all that. I can't keep up with it with the schedule. So right now, I mean, end goal, yes, that's where we want to be in life. But right now, it's
something manageable right now.
It's what we do. I'm providing horses for Jace to ride and rodeo on, and we've got into a little old breeding program that we're gonna start kicking off, and basically we're gonna try to be building roping horses, and it's so far down the road yet so close. If that makes sense. I mean, I'm partnered up with a good friend of mine on this, and it's going to be those horses that a lot of young kids are going to be able to enjoy, and we're probably going to be them old guys sitting back on the fence going, "Man, I remember when we bred that one right there. Look how good he's turned out," So.
Where's your land at? Is it Splendor as well?
No, I live just west of Montgomery now.
Okay.
I'm in between Bryan College Station and Montgomery, Texas.
Right on.
But yeah, we got a little bit of country down there. We can go ride, and some friends down in South Texas. They've always got cows that we go down there and mess with.
You said you're a small fish in a big pond there, but I saw a statistic the other day. I can't remember the exact number, but it was something crazy. Like 90% of domestic beef is produced by herds of 25 or less, 25 head or less. Isn't that crazy?
It is. I think. I mean, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think smaller herds. It's more. It's not your overprocessed stuff.
Right.
It's where it's coming. It's farm to table.
Absolutely.
More like. I think that's what I'm looking at. Is the smaller operations are farm to table. Smaller operations that can get in with your HEBs.
Yep.
And you get, where it's coming from, and you know what you're going to get.
And we've seen a rise in the local meat markets. We've had one that sponsored this podcast before, so you're seeing that a lot too. Local farmers selling to local meat markets, selling to local end users. So I think that's cool. It's more manageable. Cattle don't get as sick.
Yeah.
So y'all are doing studio work now?
Doing studio work now. I went in and cut, not week before last, I went in and cut the last 6 that's going on. And I'll go back, I think, the 21st, 22nd to do some final vocals. Then it goes to mixing and mastering. Well, it goes to overdubs first, and then we get to hear it back. And then it goes to mixing and mastering, and we'll have full product after that.
Is the studio process something you find enjoyable, or is it kind of a necessary evil?
I'm learning to love it.
Sure.
Not natural.
The studio to me, I mean, I can get in there and sing. If you tell me sing, I'm gonna go sing. Right? I can do that.
Right.
I'm more involved in the records now as far as my ideas. I'm letting the producer produce, but I still got a hand in going, okay, I want this done this way.
Sure.
So it is a bigger thought process. I do like it. At the beginning of the day, you kind of walk in and you got the jitters because you know that y'all wrote this song or you're recording this song and you played it on acoustic, there's so many more things that start coming into it. And it's
Sure.
like, all right, we're building this song.
Yeah.
The only thing that we have to go off of is a chart of where we want to start it, what the tempo is, where the pushes are going to be. It's a roadmap that's laid out. But up until that point to where it starts gelling and it feels good, you have nerves.
Little butterflies.
But at the end of the day, it's like, dadgum, man, that sounded good. Can we come back in here tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like, it lights that fire underneath you.
Right.
So this next year, I'm going to start writing a lot more, just to write, whether it's for my record or Jake's record or somebody else's that wants to cut, just to get the juices flowing. That way we follow up here soon after once the record's released. I mean, I want to be back in the studio knocking some more stuff out. That way,
Awesome.
we took a little bit of lull on this last record, but I think it was all for good measure. If you Waylon said it a long time ago, there ain't no sense in trying to write a song if you ain't got nothing to say,
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
right? So
Quality over quantity,
That's
basically.
called techno.
exactly. I mean, because somebody said, you write a song, everybody out there loves it, right? You're gonna have to sing that song the next 30 years of your life, right?
Yep.
So you might want to write one that you enjoy singing
Yeah.
for that long.
Imagine writing Hotel California and
Yeah.
hating the song.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Wow.
miserable.
Margaritaville.
I mean, the paycheck's probably just great,
Yeah.
you know,
I
but
mean,
it'd probably
that's-
get you over it.
Those boys, they didn't even know what they did.
Had
No,
no
they
idea.
didn't.
You know?
Pretty wild.
Mhm.
We're about the end of this bad boy. We try to wrap up every episode with 5 questions.
Yeah.
And I kind of crafted these questions specifically for you. So they're kind of random, easy fire shots here if you want to play along and appease me here. First question. In 1980, what was the 4th most popular boy name? You'll catch on to my humor after this joke.
I don't know. I mean,
It was Josh.
it was Josh. Okay.
You're
All
too
right,
scared to say it. I know it.
All right. I'm like, I don't want it to be about me. But,
No, I mean that's the point of this little list here. Number 3, by the way, was Matthew, and
Matthew.
number
yeah.
1 was his middle name Michael, and number 7 was his first name James.
That's
so
right.
But they're all biblical names, man.
Yeah, they are.
That's
They
there
are.
was something going on in
my,
the 80s.
My meemaw gave me the name Joshua.
Okay.
She was a Sundays twice, Wednesdays 2, prayer meeting.
Yeah.
We were at church all
You
the
were
time.
there.
That's a nice little tidbit there.
Yeah.
Grandma named you. Who was Keith Whitley married to?
Lori Morgan.
All right, I knew that was a gimme. And you can decline this if you like. Can I put you on the spot and give us a snippet of your favorite Keith Whitley song?
Well,
You can just say the words. You don't have to sing it.
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
I mean, Keith just had a whole repertoire of songs, but I've heard it 1,000 times. But my son, I taught Jace how to play a few years ago, and I showed him 3 chords and said, "Here it is, go figure it out." Well, he did, and he's better at everything. He's better at riding horses, better guitar player than I am. The kid came in there. I just got off the road from Georgia, and I was just laid up, kicked up watching TV, and he come in there with that guitar, and he always, if I bring my road guitars home, he'll pick up mine before he picks up his.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like he just wants to play it, and he come in there and he goes,
Still warm.
"It's still warm." That's right. He come in there and he goes, "Hey, me and him have a different relationship. He's my buddy.
Yeah, sure.
That's my dog. We fight like cage badgers, but like brothers more or less.
All right.
But he did. He paid attention, and it blew my mind when he played this song because I remember riding down the road and him being in the car seat behind me singing it. And now to hear him sit down and play Charlotte's in North Carolina, back where she wanted to be. It blew my mind because he played the
It's
intro.
like a core memory unlocked, you know.
Just da 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 da, and I'm like, I don't even do that. I mean, I can pick guitar just fine, but he delivered it.
Yeah.
And effortlessly. So that's my new favorite Keith Whitley song.
That's my boy.
Charlottesville, North Carolina, definitely.
Very cool. Glad I asked that. This is a question about crowds that you've played to. Can you remember your loudest crowd?
Leonard, Texas.
Yeah, there you go. All right. All right, we might not qualify for this one, but biggest crowd.
We've had a lot of loud crowds, but you know
Anything
what?
stand out?
When they're in it, God, man, it's Wade Bowen said it best. I wish that you could see what I see.
It's the second time I've heard that in the past 2 days.
It is amazing to set up there, and it almost stops you. It almost stumps you. That here I am. I'm in the motion. I'm playing this song. I'm trying to remember the words, getting in with the band. All the emotions are going. And all of a sudden, it's like you just go blank for 1 second, and you look at everything going on out in front of
It
you.
can short you out.
It
wipes your hard drive.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a short. And you go, wow.
Yeah.
Just for that second right there. And it might be the Leonard, Texas crowd. It might be the Billy Bob's crowd. It might be Panther Pavilion when we opened up for Cody. There was a sea of people out there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's wow factors every night with that crowd.
Sure.
So every one of them are special, you know. And especially when they're giving it back to you, I've always told them, we're giving you 110%. You give it back to us, I promise you, you will leave this show.
We'll have a good time.
We're going to have a good time.
The words of Charlie Robinson. Gonna have a good time. What does he say? Anywho.
Fail.
Yeah. Last question of the 5 questions. What was the first recorded word from the moon?
First recorded word from the moon?
Yep.
That would be wouldn't it be Houston when we've landed?
Ding, ding, ding. You are
I mean-
exactly correct.
I'm
Yep.
trying to think
Houston,
Neil
Texas.
Armstrong, you know, I mean,
Your stomping grounds is what I was trying to do there. So Allison Blevins is going to be bringing you some peach cobbler this
Awesome.
evening. So we wanted to let you know that.
thank you.
Cheryl Stanley wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Are we close to it? I wasn't sure.
Well, it was in May, but yeah.
Oh, okay, well-
I mean, we'll take it. Thank you.
Maybe she was misinformed or just late.
Yeah.
Maybe
you know,
just
or
like
early.
May-
She's wanting to get ahead of it.
Anywho, she did send that. You want to give your band a shout out real quick?
Oh yeah, they the band and the crew, you know,
They're in there eating lunch.
They're in there eating lunch. Half of them's loading in. Bus drivers asleep at the hotel, and it takes an army.
I can
It
imagine.
takes an army to make one of these things happen. We played an acoustic show last night in Mckinney, Texas, and the crowd was a listening crowd. So it was one of those that I play the show I want to play, I tell the stories I want to tell, and that's my platform.
Yeah.
Well, last night I made sure that we didn't go into any big band intros, but I made sure that everybody on that stage, that person in that crowd knew them.
Right.
Right down to Kayla selling merchandise manager, Justin running front house, Braden running side stage, down to the bus drivers. Everybody has a role that gets played. That way that show can go off. If those points fail, the show's going to fail. I'm proud of my crew. I can tell you that they have my back 110%. And I wouldn't be out here if it wasn't for them. So
Sure.
I know that, you know, the name at the end of the night, the marquee name is still going to be mine. The brand's still going to be mine. The songs are still going to be mine, but I couldn't do it without them. So
Shout out to the crew.
Absolutely.
You got any socials or website? Obviously, albums coming up. Be ready for that. Anything else you want to promote?
I mean, be ready for that. We've got some Billy Bob's dates coming up that are going to be up in y'all's North Texas area. Look for that. I believe that's in November, I think. Man, just thank y'all.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for allowing us to have a platform to stand on and sing our songs and get our music out there. I mean, we're on every streaming platform you can think of, but it does, man. It takes you guys that introduce that song that they might not have known who I was.
Yep.
So it does. It takes a bunch of people to make this happen, and all that I'm going to do is continue to try to make the best music that I can to put out.
Well, we appreciate you and your crew coming out to Leonard, Texas for the 144th Annual Leonard Picnic. It was a blast, record-setting, tons of folks. You knocked it out of the park. James?
Yeah, and thanks to Hanks for letting us do this here. And
thank you very much. Yeah. Hanks Texas Grill let us in here early on a Friday, nice and cool in here to do this little podcast. Thank you guys for having us.
David and his staff are some awesome people. I've got to play for David Reynolds for a long time over the years, and that guy's the first one here to let you in and go, hey, bud, how you been doing?
Yeah.
When's the next time we going to go fishing?
I meant to say this at the beginning, and I hate to be at the end, but this used to be a Denny's, and I say Hanks is the best thing to ever happen to Denny's.
That's right.
So
this one anyway.
You can write that down, make a song about it, but this used to be a Denny's, and it is a fantastic use of the building since then. So they've done a good job.
Yeah.
Mr. Ward, we appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Have safe travels on the road, my man.
Thank you, bud.
Bye.